Opioid Ad-Hoc Committee to order. Meredith, if you would please take the roll.
Good morning. Jojo Baratka. Here. Kayla Borgen is here.
Here.
Mike Borgen is not excused. He is excused. Megan Enders excused as well. Sherry Graham online at all. Jessica Folstad, I saw you online.
Can we hear you, Jessica?
Jessica, can you hear us? *6 or unmute yourself. Can you hear us?
Oh, there she is. Okay.
It's good.
Got it.
Dina King is excused. Lori McEwen also excused. Marvin Nevelier is not present. He is excused. Tiffany Palachuk.
Here.
Blaine Peterson.
Here.
Danielle Peterson.
Here.
Sarah Reese Soha.
Here.
Chana Remarkowitz.
Here.
And Nick Trimner. You have a quorum. Thank you.
And Rachel, did she call you? No. Rachel is here.
Sorry, Rachel.
And I am here. Okay, so we do have a quorum. All right, thank you. So at this time, we'll have public comment and communications. I know Mr. Diston is here to speak, but I thought maybe it would be better if during the discussion and recommendations for utilizing opioid funding, I should have asked if there was anybody online.
Lori McEwen.
Oh, Laura McEwen is here. Hi, Lauren. Lauren, let's make sure your microphone works. Lori? Oh, tell her how to do that. Start.
Lori, *6 or unmute yourself to speak. Can you hear us clearly?
She can. I'm reading. She said I can.
Thumbs up is good.
Okay. If you need to speak, then they'll tell you how you get on there. All right, great. Thank you. All right, so if you're okay with that, board, if we would just move any comment, because he can do some discussions. I think Kayla had questions about his curriculum that he was talking about last month. So if you're okay with that, we'll wait for that. You're okay with that, Mr. Diston? Okay, fine. Is there any public comment? I see nothing here. Nobody online is logging in, so we'll move over to any communications from the board here. Anyone online or here? I don't see any reactions from the gals. Okay. Do they have, you have access to the agenda and the packet then, girls, right? Okay, good. All right, then I see none on any, so we'll move on. The minutes of last July 8th, 2026 meeting, what is your pleasure?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Motion from Tiffany Palachuk
I'll second.
and a second from Jojo. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion's carried. All right, let's get to number 3, discussion and recommendations for utilizing opioid funding. Nick, you want to take the lead on this?
Sure. So after last meeting, there was all the ideas were kind of presented, and then we Carrie in our office, who works in the finance or on the finances, I gave her kind of the information, and she ran with it and went through each kind of area that was suggested and classified what they would be categorized under if we were to do them and to be turned in. So you should have a spreadsheet with all the items we had talked about. The different colors represent different funding areas that they would be qualified for. We did go out for the next 3 years. I know there's some that would continue beyond that. However, that would be up to the Health and Human Services Board. At that point, could just continue putting the money towards it. So this was to get everything kind of lined up and ready to go. We currently have $287,000. So we got a couple more checks since we started this project or this committee. On the spreadsheet, there's $285,000 worth of spending over those 3 years. So the only change that I did this morning compared to what you see in front of you is when I was talking to a few people under the school one, where did I put that? Right here on G9, where it says G9. For the schools, for the 3 schools, sometimes there's other programming that would be available. So it says assembly speakers on opioids in schools or youth support programs. So it's still money going to the schools to do programming. Obviously, as we discussed as a group, it would be preferred as some type of public speaker so you could kind of really share and work together. However, if there is some grants or something that you could match to get a certain type of opioid or drug programming in your school, it would be available for that also. Other than that, the other one would be, we talked about the male version of a shelter and then a female version of shelter. Obviously, we have a male version, which is His House of Hope, which we did put funding on here. We had talked about if there was available a female version, to just set money aside. So at this time, it's not allocated to someone, but we had talked about just saying if something were to come forward or something created in the region or area that we could help support, it would be available to do so or recommended to do so. Kind of the 2 things we need to do. This doesn't need a resolution, nothing like that. This committee was meant to be put together to create this list. We have 1 meeting available left according to our original setting up of this. If we don't need it, we don't need it. If you guys feel comfortable with this list, the goal today would be to give it thumbs up and recommend it go to the Health and Human Services Board for consideration, which at that time they would put the resolution together to spend the opioid funding, which then would go to the full board. So there's a few more steps. It's not just this group gives the okay and it's spent. It has to be approved by the full board, which is 2 steps from now. However, we wouldn't need another meeting if everybody was comfortable with the list presented, and it would just go to them at their next meeting, which is about a month from now.
Okay. Okay. So is there any discussion? You've had time to look at this and talk about it maybe with someone or just looking at it yourself with questions. I know I mentioned before, Kayla, you were interested in the possibility of partnering with their program that they had, and we wanted to hear about it. So Mark is here to share that with you with their questions. So should we go with that right away? All right, Mark, you're on. Oh yeah, come on to the board.
Thanks again to this committee for
Down below where it says push. There you go.
apparently we're on. Thanks again to this committee for having us come back in and explain a little bit further about what His House of Hope is trying to accomplish by way of hopefully a collaboration with the county and on a variety of different levels. The 3 things, if you recall, a month ago when we came in, we had 3 separate needs that we were identifying as things that the His House of Hope could in fact use as far as perhaps some of these funds. One of them was for another vehicle, which is a separate item over here. The second was for a very robust security system that could be, around our entire facility and monitored, of course, remotely in a pretty robust way. The third one, which I think there seemed to be very, very sincere interest with this group, was for this Genesis process. And we outlined it briefly a month ago. And it is, again, a very, very, very comprehensive program that is used. And I discovered this yesterday. I didn't know it was outside the US, but it is also used some places in the UK as a very, very effective means to prevent or at least curb a lot of recidivism and help, not just individuals, but help communities considerably with their opioid, problems. And really, it's more universal than that. It's all drug and alcohol addiction, because that impacts all of us. So what this process is, the Genesis process, it is a very, very comprehensive curriculum by which we would, of course, take the lead. And in fact, I just discovered this morning, it's already being implemented by Robert Knack, the executive director, who got called away today, but in a good way. The demand exceeds the supply, we'll put it that way, for our services. So that's kind of a nice problem to have. But the fact is, he and another fellow who are the ones that do all of the recovery process with these fellows who come into us, whether it's alcohol or drugs. And they've already gone through some of those things elsewhere before they can actually qualify to be one of our residents. Anyway, so Robert and this other fella are going through this certification process where they're going to become the facilitators on site for all of our fellows that come into us. And with that in mind, I discovered this morning as I was first given this got to Robert this week. And this is just one of the manuals that is for the program for the facilitators to use. And then each participant also gets another manual. And it's a very, very exhaustive process. And much of it is on demand or perhaps in person or both. And I learned also this week that this is being used elsewhere in the country very effectively in collaboration with Narcotics Anonymous as well as AA programs around. And I think in our community, I'm not as aware of that, but I think we still have some of those meetings going on. Is that accurate? Anybody know? Can weigh in? Okay. So that's something that could be very, very effective for those programs as well. And so there could be change groups that are going to be formed that would help everybody at every level, not just healthcare providers, but certainly health systems, law enforcement, and school districts, and a variety of other things. So that's kind of in a nutshell what this is. And the handout that I gave you all here today is a little bit further description of the program, what it consists of on the first page and its backside. The second page and the backside of that particular one show it's an outline of the curriculum, which is, again, it's pretty exhaustive. It's very, very involved. And the third is some other endorsements from around the country. I think there was one that I included from the UK, as I indicated earlier. So it's, again, it's been very, very effective. And I think in everybody's best interest, what we want to do is to help the folks who are in need of these kinds of programs, number one. Secondly, curb the recidivism. And thirdly, and most importantly, help return them to becoming productive citizens where they can become, good community members, taxpayers, employees, and all those kinds of things. And I'm happy to report that some of these guys now, I just learned this week, a couple of new fellows who are only about 2 months into the program are already employed. And so they're working, they'll graduate to full-time employment locally here within the next 30 days or so. So that's really, really good. So that's kind of in a nutshell what the program is designed to do. So we would love to have the support of this committee and therefore the county in helping sponsor this program financially, and not just now, but going forward. And so I'll entertain questions if you got them.
I have a couple. I guess, so the Genesis program is something that is specific to your house. Do you offer this programming to people that aren't living in the?
Good question. Number one, are we currently doing that? No. And again, we haven't really implemented this yet. 2 guys are becoming trained and certified to become facilitators. We haven't involved the residents yet. So to your question, is it just exclusive to residents in this program? For us now, it would be. However, in other places around the country, as I indicated, are doing it for people who are not residents of their facility. Yeah. So it can be.
How many people can you serve? How many residents can you have at one time?
Right now, our capacity is 8 men.
Okay.
And I did hear a little, it was discussed earlier about the needs for a program like this for women in the county. And that's obvious that we have that need. Other counties around the state have these kinds of programs going for both men and women. Right now, ours is exclusively for men. We intend to, as we grow, change our capacity. So instead of just 8 men, we'd be able to host maybe 16 to 20 if it ever requires it. That's kind of good news, bad news. Bad news is that you need it. Secondly, the good news is that it would be available to people. And same thing with one for women. We intend to do that down the road. Yeah.
How do people learn about you, or how is a referral made to come stay with you?
Good point. A lot of it is social media. And also, probably more effectively, it's word of mouth and collaboration with people in other parts of the North Woods. There's a program over in Ladysmith. There's one, as I understand, in Hayward. I don't know if Rhinelander has one, but I think there's one in the northeast part of the state that's not his House of Hope, but very similar. And again, we've got those kinds of dialogues going with a lot of people. A lot of it is just word of mouth. I was introduced to a fellow who's new. He's been here about 2 weeks. I hadn't met him until today. And he's from originally upstate New York, but he's been here in the state in the Northwoods for about 10 years. And so that was kind of a word of mouth. He learned of it kind of by way of word of mouth. So,
Okay.
and I think we're probably going to be getting more referrals from health facilities, health systems. Obviously, Marshfield and Aspirus dominate this market up here, but other places around, of course, in the northeast part of the state, it's you see a lot of. It's not Aspirus. It's what else is over there? Something, if you recall, in the southeast part of the state and the eastern part of the state, of course, Aurora kind of dominates. But nonetheless, those kinds of health systems, they all talk to each other for these kinds of needs. And we're getting a lot of inquiries. So our capacity right now is only 8 men. We could easily double that if we had the facility.
How long is the program? How long are most men staying?
As far as his House of Hope in a general sense, there are two different tracks. One is about 9 months and the other is about 18 months. And that's dependent upon the individual, where he's coming from. Has he gone through something similar to this before? Has he been incarcerated and just recently, released? Has he been referred by a health system or by a health care provider? And then we take, again, we've got a log of a lot of different inquiries, and they have to apply and then qualify. And so not just anybody it's not a halfway house. They can't just walk in and get a bed. That's not that kind of program. Now, the Genesis process, as we understand it, because we're kind of new to it as well. It's an ongoing process. If a resident can go through it in the course of a year, and it's a pretty, like I said, exhaustive curriculum. And however, it's going to be in perpetuity for him if he chooses to on demand once he's out of the program. So, other questions?
I do have a couple of
Yeah.
questions. I apologize, I missed the last meeting. And so when I read the minutes and I saw the Genesis process, I did some research just to look it up and
Sure.
see, what it was so I could learn a little bit more. And so many of the things that you stated already, were things that I were able to find online. And so some questions I had for this were, you had said that you have some staff right now that are going through that training process. And it looked like it was an online process where you would sign up, you were able to take courses, it varied in length. I think the one that I looked at was, 12 months, a certain amount of dollars a month. Are there any other special qualifications or requirements that are needed of those individuals? Or is it truly like any person can go and get trained through their process and then be, I don't know, certified or qualified? It looked like they had some certificates of completion.
Yes.
And that makes them certified.
Yeah.
To
And that again
deliver
is
services.
our two fellows are just going through that right now. They started maybe a month ago, I want to say.
Okay.
And so they're very new to it. But however, part of the curriculum that we're going to subscribe to has to do with a lot of there's going to be a 3-day counseling and training session with staff from this program nationally coming in and residing with us, for a few days and going through pretty strong consultation. And there is a consulting, I'd say, addendum to this that we would like to subscribe to as well, where it would be continually, somebody would be essentially our, leader elsewhere in the country. And once he understands our system, collaborating and training in an ongoing process. So that would be, it's a consultation, kind of a module that we would subscribe to. Yeah.
Okay. And you had noted that you were just getting started in this process because on that website as well, it stated 3 different locations in the state of Wisconsin
Right.
that were recognized by this organization in Blair, Luxembourg, and I believe the other one was in Eau Claire.
Yeah.
And so have you reached out to any of those to see like how
I
those
haven't.
programs?
Robert has by
Okay.
telephone. Yeah,
Alright.
I've not had any kind of a consultation or anything with those people, but
Okay.
we're aware of them, and Robert's reached out to them. Yeah, like I said, it's in some respects, the whole program is now just 2 years old. His House of Hope. It's come a pretty long way. I've been on the board for maybe a year and a half, and it's getting legs. It really is getting legs, and it's interesting to note that people are noticing it, as I indicated to Paula earlier, and this is kind of a segue, but unbeknownst to Robert, he didn't know this woman. Some woman came in from elsewhere in the state yesterday, unannounced, and said, "May I get a few minutes of your time?" And he went through a little bit more in detail. He said, this woman within 20 minutes handed over a $4,000 check. And he says, she goes, "I hear what you're doing. I support this. Please take this goodbye."
Nice.
It's like, that's, totally unsolicited. So it is getting some legs and it's being noticed. So this program, I guess I'll summarize it by saying that if we could collaborate with this organization and certainly the county, with this committee, I should say, and then the county, I think it would be in everybody's best interest, certainly at our level with obviously the school districts, healthcare providers, health facilities, and certainly law enforcement too. I think everybody would benefit. So thanks for your time.
Hold on. Any other questions? That was what I was going to comment about is, did you see the viability of this being a partnered kind of program that we could do with the entities you spoke of?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We've not done that yet, but it
Right.
can be.
Well,
Yes.
but because you're in the learning area too, so to me, it's something that you can look forward to. Another question I would ask is, off of what Rachel is talking about, would you be doing the training, or I know you're doing a training or would you be the ones that would handle all that, or would you suggest that we have a partner from each of the entities being trained as well? These are questions you can ask yourself.
That's a very good question. I'm not prepared to answer that,
No.
but on the surface, the way you described it, I think that it could be, and I would encourage it to be just that. So that again, all your different respective areas of expertise would be represented, and we could, move this forward so that it's even a better program than we think it could be.
Well, I just think with the high school kids and
Oh, yeah.
any of those, and then anybody that behavioral health and with our law enforcement, that we could touch on a lot of.
Well, these programs impact obviously students and their
Mhm,
families.
right.
Sadly enough, that exists in every school district. It's the world in which we live, I guess. But it could be. So again, these best practices that we're learning about they can be implemented in a variety of different ways. Yeah. So
Okay, Mark, thank you so much. Unless
you.
there were any other questions for him at this time. Of course, you're not that far away. We can get a hold of you. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to any more discussion and recommendations for our funding sheet here. Any other comments?
I just have a quick question on what we have listed here for his House of Hope. We have it broken out into Genesis program and other program needs. How did we determine like those amounts, or?
I think we just had those on the list when we discussed last time. So I believe I typed it down when there was a request, and that's what we either had left or that was the amount they asked for. And I think the other program needs were leaning towards like, we'll help with the security system or whatever. There was 3 things you were looking for. So we didn't really put it in that bucket of you have to use it for X, Y, or Z.
Okay, thanks.
So Kayla, let's go back to that curriculum. Do you see it could be useful to your department or whatever?
Yeah, I'm obviously not an expert on the curriculums, but I surely think if we could send some of our parents or youth, but parents is more what I'm thinking for like child protective services, if there were groups offered, or if they could go through the program, even if you didn't have availability for them to live there, and or if you did, I think that could be helpful. And I guess the other thing, I don't know what program we were using before, but it seems like you've had some success with whatever you were using prior to Genesis. So,
well, nothing speaks like results, and I think on the end of that handout that I gave you all today.
I'm going to have you use the microphone because we have online people. Thank you.
Some of the on the handout that I provided earlier, showing some of those endorsements and some of the success stories. Some of those numbers, metrics are they don't lie. Data are pretty black and white. And that's very, very good. If we could accomplish some of those kinds of results, that would benefit, I think, everybody. And so probably kill a lot of birds with one stone. So,
Rachel, what about your thought on that with your schools?
I would have to look at the curriculum a little bit more closely. One of the things I always look at, this is a faith-based program, which may be an issue within the school system. So that would be something that I would have to look to see, are there components that we could remove out of there so that it was non-secular? So that would be something that we would think about.
And
I
that
would just need to dig into it further. And, I'm used to, there just has to be a lot of, anytime I'm working with a grant or federal funds or things like that, there's very specific qualifications that employees or staff that are working with youth must have in order to deliver certain services.
Right.
And so that would be something that I don't know if these monies come with any of those strings attached, but I know that that's something that I live with all the time. And so that's why I was asking questions about qualifications and things like that.
And that's a good question too. And I've thought a lot about that. This is not, a secular program, nor is it exclusively a faith-based program. But the one in Eau Claire, for example, that facility, we need to, explore that a little bit further. And are they doing those kinds of collaborations with other organizations and entities in their community? And if so, how do they get around that particular issue, successfully? So
I'm glad you brought that up because that did come to me from the community was some of these programs do have it so that you can't graduate from them or whatever unless it's just all faith-based, so there's no scientific research base to that. So I'm glad that was a question. So, but I just think when we're putting this all together, those are things that we'll start working towards. If this does become something we're going to do, well, then that's what those that are in charge of those areas would have to work with.
I think the mechanics of this program is, again, bear in mind, I'm learning about it
Mm-hmm.
a little bit further ahead than you are, but not a whole lot right now. But again, other than the fact that I researched some of these different people who have weighed in on their success stories. And again, data don't lie. And if you've got metrics to back up whatever your program is, that speaks volumes. So could it become more secular if needed be, if for especially people on demand, online? Perhaps it could. I don't know, but we're going to find that out.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Good questions.
Thank you. Thank you all for your input on that. All right. Now we need to decide what we're going to do here. Go ahead, Tiffany. You look like you want to say something. Go for it.
I don't know if there's any other questions or discussion, but looking at this, I feel comfortable with what's being presented, and I would make a motion for us to go ahead with bringing this to the board for approval.
Okay. We have a motion. Sarah,
I'll
you have,
I'll second.
you'll second that. Okay. So now we can have discussion. If there's any discussion, I was going to ask Sarah if you had any discussion about that, just that you think we should go with it as well. Mike, how about you? You okay with that? Okay. All right. So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of the motion by Tiffany Polachek, signify by saying aye.
I
That's a nice resounding one. And all those not in favor? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries. All right. I think that's wonderful.
Yep. So it'll go to the next Health and Human Services Board meeting. We'll probably.
That's not this afternoon.
No, not at 4:00 this afternoon. So next month, I will probably be talking to Tiff to invite her to give a little bit of an explanation of some
Good.
of the list, because it is a comprehensive list and quite a bit of her programming's on there. You're welcome to join us at that if there's questions for that meeting. The quick follow-up on your faith-based stuff. So it is in the program or in the funding paperwork, there is explicitly, it does say like faith-based programming is okay. So
Okay,
yeah.
good. That's great. So Mark, September 9th is our next meeting for not opioid. That'll be for the Health and Human Services. That's it. 9:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have that finished. We have,
And as committee members, you don't have to be there. It's
Well-
moved on to the next group. If you'd like to join and chime in, you're more than welcome to, but it's not a requirement.
all right. I mean, there still is another month. Things come up in your head and you want to ask questions, bring them forward. If you can't be there, just email either Meredith or myself and we can get it, or Nick, and we can get it forward to everyone. All right. Next meeting is September 9th. And we will forward that there. And any other agenda items, finalize the opioid funding recommendations. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you for being here, everyone.
Thanks online.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.